I'm just going to release my sweater here. So for this awareness, and some of you may have done the video and have already kind of figured out your width, but if it feels right, you would put this strap about 1 to 1.5 inches above your elbow. And then when you open up, you should be able to feel that you can press out into the strap and you feel wide across your collarbone. Okay, so you have a little bit of resistance. So mine feels a little bit tight. So I'm just going to alter mine. I feel like I need a little bit more space. Okay, but you don't want to be too wide that when you reach out into it, you don't feel like you get enough support. And maybe you start to feel the back body kind of compress and the front body open too much. One of the things when we come into standing, which we're going to do right now, and we're going to do our foot rolling, is I really want you to notice, as you were working with Jules yesterday, especially feet to pelvis. So taking all of that awareness of feet to pelvis today, and then we're going to now notice how the rib cage is resting upon the pelvis. Okay, and this is really important, as all of our inversions, majority of them, not all of them, but they will require our thoracic body to be our support. So I'm just going to bring my camera down a tiny bit and just do a little close-up. So as we stand, just so that you're aware of what I'm talking about, the rib cage must be in neutral on top of a neutral pelvis. So when the pelvis is in neutral, the rib cage is also in neutral. Anytime the pelvis tilts anteriorly, the rib cage will move forward and the ribs will splay. Okay, if we tilt posteriorly, the chest will drop and the rib cage will shift back. So we do want to notice this rib to hip connection. And some of you have already taken the tensegrity workshop, and I talk about this a lot. Imagining that you have a little suspender here, okay, a little tie. The SH breath helps to knit the ribs together to keep the rib cage on the pelvis. The other part that we're going to talk a little bit today about is the shoulder blades. Okay, and we're going to do that as we foot roll. So I want you to grab whatever you have for foot rolling. Okay, so you might be using a ball, you might be using a dowel. And just standing with your feet hip width apart. Just notice how you're meeting the ground. So just take note of that for right now. Let a little bend come into the knee. Feel that down. Take a few breaths out the mouth. Okay, bringing one foot up to start to foot roll. So when we're connected to our core, when we bring our foot up, the pelvis is not shifting from left to right. Okay, so as we root, you might even feel the hands on the side of the hip. You press down, you lift up through the core. You feel the belly draw in and up. You feel the ribs knit. And that allows you to lift that foot as you keep continuing to bring energy out the crown of the head. And you can feel your internal core supporting you as you lift the foot. So notice if your tendency is to shift left or right. Okay, then at this point, the body is losing connection of the core. So sometimes some of you may find as you exhale to get the transverse to come in, you might exhale and imagine you're pulling your hip bones towards your belly button on your exhale. Okay, and that'll bring in your transverse abdominis. Okay, so we're just going to do a foot rolling. I'm just going to let you guide yourself through this as you listen. What is needed for you at this time? So you might pause at different areas. The quieter the shoulders become, the more connected you are from the base of the spine into the core upward. The more tight you feel your trapezius become, then that means that the core needs to ignite so that the upper shoulder girdle can rest onto the support of the inner core. Okay, so just noticing if you need a little pumping, let the ball, the dowel, whatever you're using, come under the upper part of the foot, just so that you can wrap your toes around the ball. Just want to start with earth support. So important when we go into inversions to feel safe, to feel at home. And then you'll know when you're complete. Just want you to feel as well as you reach up the arms. So a little lateral stretch is always welcome, especially as we go into inversions. We want to release side body. So whatever foot that you released and rolled, I want you to bring that arm up. And I want you to notice that you stay connected through your rib cage. So this whole awareness of reaching up and noticing, are you moving the rib cage? Tendency, is it going to be to pop forward? Okay, so we need to take that SH sound, knit it in, get the rib cage so it's right on top of the pelvis, and then choose to maybe go into a side stretch. But I just want you to take a little bit of time for that. And then notice the other side. Use the SH breath, the shh. That sound knits your ribs together. Okay, we're just bringing length in to the side body, which is really important as we go through. Okay, so taking time to secure the pelvis, find feet to pelvis, then lift up from the lower belly. And that might be lifting up through the lower abs. It might be imagining you have a smile here and you lift your smile up. Rib cage stays connected as the other foot comes up, and we roll through the second foot. Notice if you're feeling a little bit tighter on the pinky side of the foot, then go into kind of angling the foot off to the side. Keep inquiring, what is your body doing? How do you support yourself? Can you take pauses to exhale and find foundation before you move? Once you find foundation, then you scan through the body to know, how am I connected to my deep front line? How am I maybe needing to encourage a little bit more integrity? You'll finish the second side at any time. Okay, and then just going into your awareness of keeping the ribs knitted, the feet connected, that gathering, and then reaching up the second arm. Just going to move back a little bit, noticing that you keep the ribs connected. So what does that mean for you? Do you need to bend the elbow more? Do you need to bring the arm forward? What is your true range of motion? And then just going to do a Tadasana variation to start. So just want you to bring a block. So this is the awareness too of also noticing, and some of you might not even go into a full inverted handstand today, but I do want you to feel what it feels like to do Tadasana with a block. in between the thighs, keep the ribs knitted and have the arms overhead. So we're going to do a standing Vriksasana. And this informs us of what happens in our body. So if at any time we go into variations and you're going to go, oh, I'm going to go back into the standing variation, then we can be here. So just notice this connection. You take an exhale, find earth support, let go. Start to root down through all the pads of the toes. The thighs will softly internally rotate. You might even feel the block just gently drawing back towards the wall behind you. Tailbone is heavy. Rib cage is connected by maybe an SH sound. And then softly let the arms come up. And I want you to just have the fingers reaching up to start. Notice the elbows a little bit bent. And then flex the wrists as if you're going to put the palms of the hands on the ceiling. Press up, press down through the feet, knit the ribs. Feel the side body. Maybe an S sound to connect into the pelvic floor, and just pause here. Now, if this at any time is creating disturbance, having your arms up in the air, then just come down and stand in Tadasana without reaching the arms up. 2 more breaths. So this is your inversion, as you would say. This is your body that we want to try to bring into connection as the arms lower when we invert. Okay. So just shake it out, let it release. We are going to now lie down and just do a little bit of breath work and a little awareness of releasing the fascia, or nourishing the fascia. Okay, so you're going to lie down in whatever position works for you. So that might be constructive rest for some of you. That might be heart bed for some of you. Beautiful. Nice. Taking a moment to find earth support. And if you have your knees bent, what supports you to soften into the ground? Sometimes it's putting a block or an inflated slow-mo ball in between the inner thighs. Sometimes it's strapping the thighs to allow the psoas to soften and the back body to really sink into the floor. When we're on our back, the lower back ribs, we want to start to feel them sink into the floor as much as we can. For some of us, that might mean that you'll feel the lower back ribs really softening towards the ground. Some of you might feel it floating away. And behind the lower back ribs, internally are our kidneys and our adrenal glands. Okay, and the kidneys and the adrenals are really housed in the energetic body of the first and second chakra. So really feeling this earth support, but also noticing that we want to have fluidity within the body. So we really want our practice to have this combination of stability and fluidity with space, but also a quality of empowerment. So as you're breathing and you climb inside your body, can you feel the breath as the diaphragm lowers down and contracts on the inhalation? The air is drawn in, the belly and lower back expanding, and the rib cage expanding laterally. Okay, when we expand laterally into our rib cage, we get into these side muscles that start on the side of the ribs. They go from the first to the ninth rib, and they feed into the shoulder blades. And a lot of you know them as your serratus anterior muscle. So they keep the shoulder blades protracted, which means they create space in between the shoulder blades. So when you inhale out into your side ribs, notice how your shoulder blades are widening. And as you exhale, the muscles in between your shoulder blades, your rhomboids, softly gather in, as well as all the intercostal muscles, your transverse. The diaphragm relaxes. You also, with the relaxing of the diaphragm, feel the lift of the pelvic floor. So I want you to notice this lateral expansion today, feeling shoulder blades be wide, but also on the exhale, there's a soft gathering of the rhomboid muscles to keep the shoulder blades at an integrity towards the spine. So we don't ever want the serratus to overtake or the rhomboids to overtake, but we want to feel both working in communication with one another. So we feel space, but we also feel integrity and support. So whenever we breathe into the side ribs, it creates space. Whenever we exhale and gather the ribs and just softly just feel the shoulder blades just gently squeeze towards the spine, we feel integrity. So as you're going into your practice today, if you need more space, take an inhalation into the side ribs. If you need a little bit more integrity, exhale, gather the ribs, maybe an SH sound, and feel the shoulder blades softly gather towards the spine. Just going to take 2 more breaths here. As you're in your breath, we're going to go right into a few of the tensegrity arm series just to nourish our fascia. Okay, I'm going to do these partly seated and lying down, but I wanted to go through, I was kind of contemplating how many we would do, but it does feel like we should go into doing 4 of them at least. So the first one we're going to go into is Cobra Hood. So the palms of the hands are touching. I always like to have a little bit of space in between the heel of the hand so that the palms of the hands are not flat together, but we're more in Hakini Mudra. Okay, so I'll show this mudra. Okay. And the elbows are in relationship with the shoulder blades. So I really want you to notice that when you gather your inner elbows, it helps the shoulder blades gather towards the spine. When you lift your inner elbows apart, it wings your shoulder blades away from the spine, so creating less integrity. So we're going to go through both of those movements right now. And I want you to really notice that sensation when you gather the inner elbows. So hands are above heart. And we're going to exhale to bring the arms overhead. So you're moving parallel to your body, inner elbows gathering towards one another, arms extending. So they're softly extending towards the wall behind you. They don't need to come very far, but keep the inner elbows gathering towards one another. Notice how that creates integrity in the shoulder blades. And then as the hands come back over the heart center and they lower down, elbows will widen to create space. Widening apart, inhalation. Exhale, inner elbows come towards one another, arms extend softly overhead, staying parallel to the floor and the body, maybe an SH sound to keep the ribs knitted. And then as we inhale, breathe into the side of the ribs, create space, elbows widen as hands come back over the heart. So I'm in a soft heart bed here. So I'm a little bit angled. Okay, we're going to do 2 more. Yeah. Hello. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. And then we're going to go into the next one. So you're just going to extend your arms up so they point up to the ceiling. Pads of the fingers are still touching, heel of the hand softly apart. Little exhale to bend the elbows to soften the ball of the shoulder into relationship with the socket. Breathe into the side of the ribs. Exhale, softly knit the ribs on the exhalation. And we're going to let the arms come down towards the legs and softly lift up so the fingers point up towards the ceiling, and maybe exhale overhead with keeping the relationship of the rib cage. Using your breath, this one is called chopping wood. And the first one, Cobra Hood, helps to release the psoas and the diaphragm. And chopping wood helps to nourish the thoracic spine. So specifically the serratus muscles, the rhomboid muscles, that space in between the shoulder blades, which is a reference of the back door of the heart. Feel that you have a little bit of leaning quality into the back door of the heart. Notice what's happening. 2 more movements of chopping wood. Okay, then just let your arms relax down for a moment. Take a few breaths to pause. Now we're going to nourish front body and back body with owl wings. So you're going to bring your arms up. Gaze is looking up at your hands. You're going to see the back of your hands, which means the palms of the hands are facing away from you. You're going to touch the pad of the index and the pad of the thumb on each hand. So Gyan Mudra. Okay, wiggle the other fingers, which is middle ring pinky. Let them meet and let the elbows bend softly. Okay, take a moment to knit the ribs together. Exhale. Now inhale as the arms are above your head, and exhale, keeping the ribs knitted as the arms fly softly out to the side, inhaling back together. Okay, so notice what's happening to your shoulder blades as you go into this movement. I'm just going to come a little bit closer. Okay, the arms are out to the side, and you're only going as far as you can. And notice, can you keep the shoulder blades connected towards the spine? Is one shoulder blade winging away, or your rib cage winging away from the floor? Some of you may want to release the neck. So I'm seated, just so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just watching over you. As you open the arms, you may turn your head to one side. As the arms come back together, the head comes back together. Arms open, head may turn to the other side. As the arms come back together, so may head. I enjoy exhaling as my arms open because it helps to create integrity and keep the ribs knitted. But you might change your breath. If you're seated like me, the palms are facing down. Okay, pause, shake it out, wiggle the fingers, do a few wrist circles, open and close your hands. Okay, some of you who have taken the shoulder and wrist workshop, you know the doggy pause, palms down, palms up, okay, and flick the goo. So those are available to you at any time, okay, you need to release your wrists. Okay, so now the arms are going to come back up. Palms, when you look up, the palms are going to be facing towards you. So they're facing the wall behind you. If you're seated like me, they're facing the ceiling. Okay, and then take a moment to notice, what do you need? So pad of the finger might touch the pad of the middle finger into Akash or space mudra. And this nourishes the fascia all the way up through the center of the arm, getting bicep, tricep, up through the trapezius, through the neck, into the jaw. And some of you who may need to nourish the shoulder blade, okay, and maybe have a little bit more grounding, thumb to ring finger. That's Prithvi, that's Earth Mudra. Okay, so pinky side of the hands are facing one another. Get connected. Take a moment to exhale. Arrive. Whenever it feels ready, you open the wings of your arms again. You open as much or as little as you want. Maybe floating through the exhalation as you open the arms. Inhale as you come back. Beautiful. Yeah. So if you're seated like me, notice when you open the arms, does your rib cage, excuse me, move forward over your pelvis? If it does, okay, when you open your arms, just knit the ribs together so that you're not thrusting the rib cage in front of the pelvis. Okay, so sometimes seated is really nice to do it because you start to notice what you're doing. Just change the plane of motion, especially if some of you have worked with these supine. It's really nice to do a few seated to see, what am I doing with my ribcage? When I open my arms, does my ribcage stay connected or does it move out of alignment? So we want a stacking quality. Beautiful. So you do that as many times as you want. Release, shake it out. Good. And a lot of you have become seated with me. So just take the arms again as you float them up in front, palms down. Okay, and just start to bring them up and slowly bring them up. Notice what happens to your rib cage. Pause when you feel the rib cage kind of moving forward out of alignment. Lower the arms down a little bit. Knit the ribs, maybe an SH sound. And then see if the arms can come up a little bit farther, and then pause again. And then just find what is your range of motion. So today my range feels here where I can stay connected. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and then lower them down and try moving your arms up and down with keeping the integrity of the rib cage. And what is your range of motion? So sometimes I do this one on the floor in a bridge flow, but today, because we're seated, a lot of us were seated, I'm shifting it into a seated position. So I'm just modifying to flow with you guys. But sometimes it's really nice to notice, one shoulder blade doesn't want to connect. It wants to rise up out of the socket. The bottom tip of the shoulder blade does not want to squeeze. So just do a couple more. Yeah. Almost like if some of you saw Karate Kid, you're painting the fence. 2 more. Notice how your breath supports you. So it might not be inhaling, lifting the arms. It might be exhaling. Beautiful. Awesome. Shake that out. Okay, we're going to come down now on either our hands and knees or our elbows and knees. I'm just going to pull my mat a little bit closer to you. And we're just going to do a few spinal waves just to open our body. So what supports you today? Is it on hands and knees? Is it on elbows and knees? Okay, so taking a moment just to find what is that for you. If you're on elbows, make sure your elbows are stacked right underneath your shoulders. If you're on hands, really feel the pads of the fingers and the heel of the thumb side of the hand and the pinky side of the hand on the mat. Knees, tops of the feet rooting or toes tucked under, and you're going to move through your spinal waves. So feeling tailbone lift, belly expand, heart open. Very soft lift of the head. So I want you to resist lifting the head too much today. And then exhale. Let the tailbone round. Let the back expand, widen the shoulder blades, root into the floor. Let the head dangle. So notice how just letting the head dangle here, we're just inverting the head and we're bringing the chin towards the chest, which is already activating our parasympathetic nervous system. And we feel the expansion, the shoulder blades squeeze together. And then as we let the tailbone expand, down, the shoulder blades widening apart, head lowers. Exhalation. Hands, elbows push into the floor. Very soft, fluid trickle of movement, starting from the tailbone, ending at the crown of the head. No strain. And then I just want you to pause. I'm going to shift a little bit off my hands. Remember flicking the goo. Okay, so you can flick the goo. You can do doggy paws, palms down, doggy paws, palms up. So just letting the hands kind of flop helps to release the wrists anytime open and close. Okay, wrist circles. Now we're just going to do a little shoulder blade pump. So some of you will remember this from the shoulder and wrist workshop if you've taken it. So we're going to feel either on hands or elbows that you feel the head just drop down and just come into a release first. Root elbows if you're on elbows, forearms, wrists, hands, or palms of the hands. Now you're going to widen the shoulder blades. You're going to protract them apart. Breathe into the side of the ribs. And then as you exhale, I want you to try to squeeze the shoulder blades together as you open the front of the chest. Then you might switch the breath. You might choose to inhale here and exhale, widen. Try both. But I want you to feel the shoulder blades gently squeezing towards the spine. And notice the bottom tips. So that's really important, not just the upper part or the middle part, but I want you to notice the bottom tips of your shoulder blades squeezing. And then I want you to notice your shoulder blades widening. So remember, we're only working at about 60% or lower. Okay, so I'm just going to watch for a moment. Good. If you want to, at this point, go up into a downward dog just to see how you feel, then feel free just on your mat to go up into a downward dog. If not, you're just going to go into child's pose. But those of you that are on your hands, I want you to notice that your thumb and your index, when you root into them, they are connecting into the front of your chest, into your pectoralis. Your middle finger feeds up into the top of your shoulders and your neck and your jaw. And when you root down into your pinky and your ring finger, that is feeding into your shoulder blades. So let your head relax, tuck your toes under, and just try inhaling, shifting the weight forward over the hands. Exhale, shifting the weight back, rooting the hands and the feet into the air. Let the pelvis float up. If you need to, just feel the inner elbows gather a little bit. Jules might have given you the cue of imagining that you're turning the lids of a jar out slightly. That'll connect your shoulder blades and you might walk it out. Noticing that your rib cage is not flaring in any way. Okay, you come down, you pause. If you're not going into a variation of a full downward dog, you can do a downward dog at the wall. You can do a downward dog with hands on a chair. Okay, or you can just rest in child's pose. Okay, when you do come into child's pose, just let the arms walk over to the right again. Breathe through the left side of the body. Pause there. Just noticing when we do go into downward dog, it helps to release stress for some of us. It energizes the body. Okay, it releases the back and the shoulders. Okay, you're going to switch your arms going the other way. We feel that inversion, a very soft, so this is a very soft inversion here. Beautiful. Okay, and we're going to come back to center, and then you're just going to do a little thread the needle. So very softly, just staying in a child's pose, lift up a little bit, widen your knees if you need more space for the abdomen, and just slide your right arm through. You can have it palm down, just a little twist, opening for the thoracic body. If it feels better, you can palm up. Keep the right arm extended up towards the top of the mat. Good, come back through with the left arm, and then you're just gonna lift up slightly, inhale, exhale, just feed the right arm through. Look towards your right arm. Okay, so we're gonna do a little release now for the triceps. And so you might have a chair. I'm just using a modified version. I have a inverter. And so I'm just using, instead of a chair, my inverter, but you can also use the seat of a chair. We're just gonna release our triceps for a moment. So one of the things for this one, which is really nice, if the strap works for you, okay, you can put the strap on now, you can put it on later. Whenever I use the strap, I always think of the tail pointing down. Okay, so you're gonna pop it on the triceps, make sure it feels good. And then I always like to use a chip foam block in the palm of my hands. You can see I've got the palms of the hands holding the chip foam block. So that gives you a really good indication how the strap should feel for you. Okay, so I'm just altering my strap to give me a nice connection. Some of you also have dowels. You can hold your dowel. Okay, so that means that it's facing you with the palm of the hand. So it's another really nice way to bring the dowels in. We're just going to release the triceps. Okay, so you're going to be on knees, elbows are on the chair, holding the block or the dowel. You're going to lengthen back, you're going to knit your ribs together. If you have the strap, your forehead will rest on the strap, and you want to find a nice flat back here. Now, for some of you, this might be a deeper stretch than what your body is willing to go into. So just notice. Okay, so I'm just going to watch for a moment. This is a really good release for the ribs. Beautiful. Most people can do this. Nice, Angela. I love your stool. And your cat's in there. Your cat's like, yes, I want to be up there with you. Beautiful, Lori. I love that you're using your cork dowel. Good, Maria. Okay, you come out when you're ready. Just stay there and breathe. So this is a prep, right? Good, Jing. Nice. So you have a stool as well, Jing, right? Is that what you're using? Yeah. Yeah. Or feet up, maybe. Nice. Oh, you've got one too. Yay. Okay, you pause for a moment and notice how you feel. And then maybe you want to try it again without the strap and just a block or some other variation in the palm of the hand. So come out, do a few shoulder rolls forward and back. Okay, and then try it one more time. And this is an area here that we really need to have open when we do inversions. Okay, and this tricep release and thoracic body opener is a really important one. And sometimes when we do cow face pose, okay, just the first arm, it gets it. But I find the tricep release is one that is really good for opening it up. Nice, Claire. Good. Yeah. And good. So Claire's doing a variation where she's just having the palms of her hands together. And that's a nice variation as well without using anything. Hey, Rhonda. So you come out when you're ready. You hold for as long as you want. You breathe. You knit the ribs together. Hey, you notice the relationship between space and front and back. When you come out, ask your body, what does it need? Does it need a little few swinging twists? Yeah, good. Maybe a few shoulder rolls. Sometimes I even like to place my hands behind my head and interlace the fingers and create a little hammock for the head. This is really nice. So it's a neck strengthener and also a spine elongator. So as you use your hands behind your head, you gather the inner elbows. So if we were to go into headstands, which we're not going into full headstands today, but if we were, this is a really good indicator to notice if and how we find just the relationship of feeling the support here and noticing what our rib cage is doing. And then I want you to press your hands into the back of the skull and the skull into the back of the hand. So you have an evenness and feel that elongation up through the spine, through the crown of the head, keeping the ribs knitted. Just pause here. So there's equal leaning of hands and head into each other, and the elbows are gathering towards one another. Bottom tips of the shoulder blades softly gathering in. Beautiful. And only if it feels good, you can softly start to roll down through the spine, keeping the soft leaning into the hands and the head, and just feel the neck and the upper back widen, reaching a little bit through your triceps as you come forward. So this is optional to come forward. And then you're going to roll up. Hey, release, shake it out. Now, option, those of you that are not going up into dolphin, what I want you to do is interlace your hands the other way and go back in and do the same thing that we just did. Those of you that do want to try to go up into dolphin, hey, and do a little strengthening with me, you can choose, if the strap supports you, you can once again put on the strap. Find the hands interlacing on the floor. I always like to extend my pinkies, so I usually don't interlace my pinkies. I keep my pinkies extended, and I'll show you this. So I interlace the rest of the fingers very loosely. Try not to be too tight. And then I usually extend my pinkies. So you can see my pinkies create a little triangle on their own. And this is to keep the whole arm side of the hand connected. So just noticing that. Soft hand. Take a moment to relax your head down. So if we're looking forward, we're going into a strain, kind of a fight or flight. So just let your head drop down. Do a little nod of yes, maybe no. Exhale, find the rooting down, out into the strap. Little gathering of the bottom tips of your shoulder blades. And then we're just going to have the knees underneath the hips, and you're just going to do a little prep here. So you're going to inhale, you're going to shift your whole body forward. So your face and your gaze come forward over your hands. You can exhale here. Inhale, shift shoulders back over elbows. Exhale forward. Inhale back. Exhale forward. Inhale back. Good. Let's do that 2 more times. This is just a little prep to activate the muscles of the rotator cuff if they're not activated yet. And that might be enough for you. So you might just pause and go into child's pose. Switch the interlace of your fingers again. Keep your pinkies extended. If you do want to go into dolphin, relax the head. So try not to look forward. Just let it relax. Let it hang. Root down, tuck the toes under, and then just press into the floor. If you have the strap in a nice position, your forehead should touch the strap. If not, lower it down. Root out into the strap, lean down through the forearms. Little bend to the knee, lift up through the sit bones to the ceiling, root down through the forearms. Just doing dolphin for 2 more breaths. Good, you release. You come down, you rest for a moment. Beautiful work, you guys. Okay, you're just going to take a moment just to pause. Okay, and we're going to do a couple last poses here of our inversions. So that might be enough. Just going into this inversion. And some of you might go, I do feel like I want to try Pinchamayurasana, which is the next step. And so I'm just going to demonstrate. So just watch for a moment. So when we gauge our wall distance, it's really important that we prep that whenever we're using a wall. So you can sit and find a distance where your feet are flat at the wall and then your hands are beside you. So we call this Dandasana. And this gives you a distance of how far you should be from the wall when you're using the wall. So you're not guessing. So then all you do is you just keep your hands planted there. You can mark it. You pop around. You put your hands back. Okay, and that's where the tip of your fingers and your hands are roughly. Okay, you can use the strap if you want. Keep pinkies long so you can watch fully first. Okay, relax the head. Exhale. Feel stable. Root out into the strap if you have it. Keep the shoulder blades gathered, and when you come up, your heels will just be on the wall. And this might be enough right here, and you just stay here. As long as you can keep the ribs connected, you can push one foot into the wall and maybe just dangle the other foot and then reverse. Okay, and that might be enough. Some of you may even be able to go all the way up, both feet. And we're just going to do a modified version. If you're kicking up, then kick up, but we're just going to do a nice modified version. You come down and you rest in child's pose. Okay? I'm going to walk you through it. I'm just going to watch over you just to make sure everyone's okay. Okay, so you always take that exhale first. You root down. Nice, Claire. Nice foot, 1 foot up at a time. Good, Izzy. Nice. Some of you have gone out of the tripod and brought your arms parallel, which is perfect. One thing you can do is if you find that you like to keep, because full Pinchamayurasana, normally the arms are parallel. So if you want, you can have a block in between your hands on the floor. It'll keep your arms parallel. Okay. Good, Angela. So some people like to have the hands all the way up. Some people like to hold it like so. I like to support my whole forearm. You decide. Okay, 1 foot at a time. You let your head go though. Watch, your tendency is going to be wanting to crank the head up. But I want you to drop your head. I want you to exhale. I want you to find earth, connect into your core. Go slow. Gather the ribs. Root down, and then maybe one leg comes up. Good. Nice, Lori. Now you just need to knit your ribs a little bit because they've popped forward towards the wall. So you need to pull your ribs back. There you go. You come down when you're ready and you rest. Good, Brooke. Nice. There you go. Beautiful. Make sure that the breath is easeful. Nice, Megan. Good. Megan, the only thing you need to do is reach up through your heels when you're up there. You've got a beautiful reach through your toes. Now just reach up through your heels to extend back body as well, and it will come. Nice. Good. Well, that was good. Yay. So just take a moment to pause. The last couple ones that we're going to do in inverting right now is we're going to now go into a version of Vriksasana, which is handstand. Okay, we're first going to do it on the floor. So we did one standing, okay, to find it. And we're also now going to do it on the floor. So for some of you that aren't going to do the full, we're not going to go, some of us might go into the full, but I'm going to demonstrate just the pike version and then the feet walking up, very similar to what we just did. But if some of us are not doing the pike or walking the feet up the wall, then we can do the one supine on the floor. So I'm going to show you this. And I'm going to come closer to the camera. So it's good to try this one first. Remember, these inversions are invigorating the nervous system, so we do get energized from it. So one thing I do want you to grab is a block. And you're lying down and you're putting the block in between the thighs. Okay, and you're judging how far you're going to be from the wall because your hands are going to press up into the wall. Okay, and so you're going to push through your heels. You're going to softly reach through your toes. So some of you that were in the tensegrity workshop, remember, it's not just pointing toes and it's not just flexing heels. You want to reach through toes and you want to reach through heel as well. So both lines need to stay long, front and back. Toes lengthen front line, heels lengthen back. So when we invert, we want the feet to be equally reaching through toes and heels. So this is a way to practice as you have the arms up and the fingers are pressing into the wall. See if you can knit your ribs together. Exhale, SH breath. Gather the block. Feel reaching through the heel. Notice how that lengthens back line. Feel reaching through toes. Notice how that supports front line. Little bend of the elbows to keep the relationship of the ball of the shoulder into the socket. Breathe. Okay, so this is a beautiful strengthening of a very therapeutic version of handstand. Okay, then you release, you pause, you take a moment to rest. So this shows us if when we reach our arms up overhead and we're touching the wall and our rib cage is popping up towards the ceiling, then we really know that it gives us a chance to knit the ribs and feel the back of the rib cage start to meet the floor a little bit more. So those lower ribs are full. Remember, our kidneys and our adrenal glands are there. So if our lower ribs are pressing into the kidneys and the adrenal glands, it does activate a little bit more of our fight or flight. Okay, so that might be as far as you want to go. You might not want to go any farther than that. Then I invite you just to pause and maybe go into that one more time, or if you need to, you can go into legs up the wall. Okay, those of you that do want to do the pike version or extend up higher, once again, remember, we're sitting facing the wall in Dandasana, and you can always mark this. I always like to mark it too. So if you're sitting, you mark where your hips and your hands are. That's roughly where your hands are always going to be. Okay, then you pop around. Okay, so you can go up with me or you can watch first. So to maintain space in the shoulder girdle, depending on how wide you are, we want to widen the hands a little bit farther, because sometimes when we have the hands together, we shorten and we think that the shoulder girdle is closer together than what it is. So sometimes exploring your tips of the pinky finger close to the outer edges of your mat. Okay, so keep your shoulder blades wide. Relax the head. Let the elbows bend a little bit and see how that creates a relationship of the ball of your shoulder and your socket. So that's super important. As your head stays down, you're going to tuck your toes under. Okay, you're going to inhale, feel a little squeeze of the shoulder blades towards the spine. Exhale, as you come up into downward dog, your heels are on the wall. Let your head go. Okay, tug on your fingers. Now this might be as far as you want to go. Same thing as we went up into Pinchamayurasana. If you do, you can bring one leg up, pause. You don't even have to press into it. You can keep the other foot on the floor, and then you switch. Okay, and this is it, and then you relax. Those of you that want to go a little bit farther, you can push the foot into the wall, and you can come up into a pike. And I feel like I'm a little bit forward, so I'm just going to come a little bit forward in my hands, just to create some space. You know, watch, when you go up into pike, the tendency is to drop your ribs. But you want to knit them together, and some of you may even walk up the wall a little bit higher. Strong arms. Okay, and notice what your comfort level is. If you're done, then you just relax. Okay, some of you might already be in legs up the wall. Beautiful, good. Nice, Claire. And you've got the last transition, which is to bring your foot away from the wall. Good. Good stuff. You can widen the feet more if you need to, Steph. Yeah. So always, if we need to create space for the body, we just widen the feet. Okay. Good. Just take a moment to relax. Now notice, how are your hands feeling? I don't know about you, but mine are saying little doggy paws, right? Little release. Good. And then the palms up. And you might even just flick the goo. And then notice if you need to open and close. Nice. Okay, so we're just going to play with those inversions in class today. So one thing I want you to do is just notice when you feel ready to roll down onto the floor. I'm just going to move my ball. Okay, when you come down onto the floor, and you might feel as you reach the mat a moment where you just want to pause and feel earth. And there might be some soft wipering of the legs and the head. You might have a knee to chest pose. You might extend the arms and the legs up and shake them out. A few ankle and wrist circles. And then option here is to take a soft bolster or even a kind of smaller pillow and just bring it underneath the back of the pelvis for a moment. And just notice how you feel here. And this might not support you, but one thing I just wanted to end on is just allowing the arms and the legs to come up in the air. So this would be when you have a bolster under the pelvis and the legs up in the middle of the room. I'm just bringing the arms up too, but this is a variation of shoulder stance that is the most therapeutic. Just let that inversion come in. And some of you may feel that you just want to bend the elbows and knees a little bit. And I just want to give an invitation. This is optional. But some of you might come in and just go into scissors 1 and 2. So that means arms and the legs are moving towards you and away. And I just want to nourish the fascia again. So this one nourishes the fascia of the whole body. So just to make sure that we're not holding anything from all of those inversions. So we're just letting it pass through us. Remember, you can bend the elbows and knees. Pelvis is heavy. Arms and legs move towards you and then away. We're always finding our core, our deep front line. Okay, you can stay with same arm, same leg. And you can also alter and pause opposite arm to opposite leg. And breathe. And some of you may find as you finish this that you just pause and you bring your arms out to the side. One thing I like to do to kind of increase the capacity of my chest is if you're comfortable with staying in this inversion of a therapeutic shoulder stance, you can bring your arms out to the side with the palms up. And then if you do want to open your chest and your collarbones, you can gently squeeze your shoulder blades together. And that will kind of lift the chest and the chin will softly lower down. It's not going to touch the chest, but you're going to feel the chest is lifting towards the chin a little bit more. And then you just float here. You can also think of like a waterfall kind of coming over your legs down, over your feet, down through the legs, over the body. You might feel that you want to have your legs up the wall. You might want to have your legs on a chair. Some of you might just want to be flat on the floor and release the prop. And just even notice if your body needs any other place to let go of. Just going to take 5 minutes of silence together. Taking a moment here to just do a soft scan through your body. And as you do a soft scan, if you still have your legs suspended up in the air, and gently let them come down to meet earth. And you might take a few breaths there just to arrive And slowly at your timing, the pelvis will lift up and you'll remove the block, the bolster, the support. And then if you've just been resting in constructive rest, or you've had your legs on a chair or up the wall, you can slowly start to transition out of that and just bring a little fluidity. So what does that mean? Opening and closing the arms, stretching arms and legs, a yawn. It's very helpful. Some of you that took the Vayus workshop, it's one of the external Vayus, Devadatta. Okay, and the deep front line ends at the mouth, the temporal lobe, and the tongue. So sometimes when we work with the core, we get a little bit more excess tension in the mouth. So doing a yawn, Nagavayu, Simhasana, maybe opening the mouth. I always like to turn the head and letting the tongue expel with a soft lion sound. This purging. You might flow this, inhale, widening the throat, and exhale to the other side. You might do that several times. And slowly over the next minute, you'll transition to your side. And then you might just pause on your side body for a full minute. It's really nice sometimes just to rest in side body. If you're already seated, stay seated. And the option here is to even roll back onto your back and roll onto the other side, because it might be a side that you don't normally roll on. Unless you have an injury there, then just stay on the one side and allow your hands to push you up. But if you're not injured on the other side, just take a roll onto your back and roll onto the other side and just pause there yet again. Just coming back to earth support in our fetal position. Just nourishes the nervous system, allows the psoas to soften as we come back to this primordial essence of rebirth. And you'll decide when you're ready to come up to a seated position. And just find something that you can sit in for a couple minutes with ease. Let the eyes lower or close when you come up to a seated, and just notice how you feel. Maybe the hands feel comfort by just feeling the palms down on the thighs, grounding the body, mind, and spirit. Or the palms turning up so the back of the hands rest on the thigh, uplifting to sky and spirit. Just a little bit of energizing. Maybe a supportive touch on heart with one hand or the other into Hridaya Mudra, which is heart mudra. Or a moment of gratitude into Anjali Mudra. Hands in a prayer position, thumbs on heart. As we embody presence, so allowing ourselves to arrive here in all aspects of our being. Body, mind, breath, and heart. When we meet here with body, mind, breath, and heart, we are in this embodied presence. Thanking yourself for listening to your body, your mind, supporting yourself and offering yourself loving kindness in the way that you needed to today. Taking time to lower the hands if they were in a gesture. Slowly open the eyes. Thank you for taking the time just to explore this morning and listen to your body. This practice of inverting, I feel, is a very special practice. So I feel very privileged to be able to explore this with you today and try to cultivate a place of safety within yourself and within the offering so that you can find where you are in this place to nourish yourself.